Welcome to Board Game Animal. My name is Justin, and today we're going to be talking about our top 100 Reiner Knizia games. Reiner Knizia is my favorite designer, and being a fan of his games has been a bit of an adventure. Going from enjoying some games, realizing there was a common designer, discovering more, making content about the games, making friends in the hobby, or befriending publishers because of common enjoyment of Knizia games, or that they publish his games. Then to have the surprise that the good doctor himself has gotten a kick out of our videos and has been in a video and joined us for an interview on our upcoming podcast. Not to mention, recording a over-the-top dream sequence music video for one of his games as well. Last year we made our top 25 Knizia games, but that's not good enough. We have to go to 100. And keep in mind, over 80 of the games on this list are at least a 7 out of 10 or higher for me, so even the games that are low on the list are ones that I really enjoy and still highly recommend, which, as you can imagine, made it extremely difficult to make this list in the first place. And I'm sure some of these placements will be controversial, but listen, these are my favorites. That's all. Definitely not any sort of objective best of list. And I hope the list can be fun and informative for you, and maybe you can discover a game or get some perspective on a game you've yet to check out. I definitely don't have time to go into crazy detail on them, especially for the first 50 or 70 or more, so it'll be a very brief thought or two on each. So let's just jump right into it. Oh, one quick piece of advice, though. Don't take shots when I say the words auction or iterate or clever or mechanism or push your luck or tile placement or bid. You get the point, just for your own safety. And I feel we're starting off strong because even all the way down at 100, Cascadito is a solid little game that I can't fault for anything it lacks. However, just ultimately given a choice, I would always pick its big brother Cascadero or a different one of Knizia's roll and writes. On its own, it's fine. Knizia flexing on Quirkle is fairly interesting, and I think an improvement on the base game. However, for me, again, it's a matter of comparison. There are plenty of other ingenious Knizia lining up colors games to be excited about than this one. King's Gate is a tile layer with unique positioning choices and scoring opportunities that I think was pretty neat for its time, but one that's shown its age and has been upstaged by more modern showings. Atlanteon is a fascinating little two-player abstractish tile layer that, similar to King's Gate, is an ingenious novelty. However, it has been left in the dust by its more refined and better-looking descendants, which we'll be getting to much, much later on in this list. These both give off very similar vibes, with the dice pencil drafting mechanic to fill in various parts of the board. I don't particularly like one much more than the other, and similar to Cascadito, these are actually good little roll and writes for what they bring to the table. In the grand scheme of things, though, there are others I'll always turn to first. The glow-up version of Samurai the card game is possibly one of the most definitively Knizia games out there. Very tactical, playing cards to a shared space, collecting pieces with a unique scoring system. It has all those classic trappings, yet for me is just one that I find fine. Siege of Rundar is a deck-building co-op almost verging on a dungeon crawl of sorts. It's not what you'd expect from a Knizia game, and it has all the ingredients of something I'd really enjoy. I'm not sure what the disconnect on this one is for me. I thought it was good, but it's not something I've ventured back too much at all. It was intriguing, but procedural, and not one that's typically nagging for my attention to revisit. High Score is a push-your-luck dice game with various changing scoring opportunities. It's good, but sounding like a broken record for a few here that are in the 90s, one that falls to the background just in comparison to some of Knizia's other work. Meow is a perfectly fine and approachable little trick-taking game. It's cute and good for families or casual folks, but this isn't even my favorite Knizia trick-taker that fits that specific description, much less the trick-taking space in general, hence its positioning here. Pick Domino is another push-your-luck game, this time using dominoes to score. I really enjoy this one, but only have had the opportunity to play it a couple times, and given the chance, it likely would climb the list. Caribou is a nice little hand management game with cute animals around a watering hole. Simple, fun, but not one with huge staying power for me. Loot is another perfectly fine, highly interactive hand management game, where you're playing as pirates trying to collect gold. It's a good game, and I think in the right group it can really hit. Most recently, it's been given a really nice addition from Outset, and that would be the one to check out. Foodie Forest is another nice little trick-taking game that, for me, upon first couple plays, nothing mind-blowing, and I know I need to revisit this one, but it was an enjoyable time nonetheless. Aristocracy is a game whose production, setup time, and theme take some wind out of my sails. It's a great game mechanically, and actually in a way similar to two games that just missed getting into the top 100 for me, Africa and Merchants of Andromeda, specifically referring to that one mini-game. Because all of these tell me that there is something about Knizia's games that feature exploration and turning tiles over that's very intriguing, but yet, for some reason, no production or total package has fit what I'm looking for. I'm sure one will hit for me someday. My City Roll and Build is a very nice entry in the My City family. I played it wholly on BGA, but it was still a really nice experience. Like Cascadito, it places lower due to my preference for its big siblings. Marco Polo Expedition is a lot of fun, and just missing a few modern sensibilities from making it excellent. There are parts of the game that can bog down and get repetitive, but the bones of something awesome is here, and I'd love to see this revisited in some way. Treasure of the Dragons is a great little memory game for families that does push your luck and memory well in one place. It's quick and engaging. A shocker for being so low, Stevenson's Rocket would probably be much higher for me, again, given more opportunities to play it. It definitely falls into the realm of, I have a lot of respect for this one, more than a straight desire to play it. It feels like a masterclass in what Knizia can put in a game, stock manipulation, tile laying, trains for goodness sake. Definitely one that I'm sure would climb the ranks given time and plays. The OG co-op game. It may show its age, but I think it's filled with nostalgia and still enjoyable to play. I'm not always in the mood for it, but it still contains some brilliance and elegance that have a lot of charm. In Colossal Arena, you're managing cards and investing in the creatures you're rooting for in the battle going on. And through your card play, you're manipulating who's getting eliminated. It's interesting, but not one that I've come back to too much. Soda Smugglers is a cool little game that I found to be completely group dependent. The bluffing element and around the table interplay is nice and can lead to some shenanigans, ones that are reminiscent but not as good as others on this list, which is why it's not brought out as consistently for me. Lost Cities Roll and Write is another staple in the quote Knizia knows how to do dice games end quote category. It's great and I'd highly recommend it for folks who like easy, approachable roll and writes with interesting scoring. However, on that note, Reiner Knizia's Decathlon is a delightful experience I love to solo and speaks volumes as to what interesting stuff Knizia can do with just some traditional dice and interesting scoring systems. If you ever have some free time, just look this one up, get some dice, and have some fun. It's a really good time. Butterfly Garden is a tile-laying game with the unique element that what you're putting down moves pieces already on the board. It feels very classic, very graceful, moving your butterflies around. It's a nice, relaxing, old-fashioned feeling game experience. Viking Seesaw is what it is. It's a lovely little dexterity game balancing goods on a ship. Ingenious and charming for what it is, it always puts a smile on my face. Anakai Net Collection is a beautiful-looking set collection game where you're playing with the idea of forming poker-like melds in order to collect parts of sets. It's solid, but one that has a little bit of a barrier for me in the teachability for some reason, and it doesn't come out as often due to that. Still a really great production, and a fun game if you can get your paws on it. Totten 2 is good. It's a little clunkier and less streamlined in general as its predecessor, but still an interesting twist on the formula that for me is fun to have in addition to the original. My Island is low on this list as I haven't been able to yet finish the campaign. Surely given time it would climb. I really enjoy this hexagonal take in Knizia's My City universe of tile-laying legacy. To be completely honest, Don't Llama, or in its new form, Dump the Skunk, is better than I think some people give it credit for. Knizia iterating and drastically improving on the bones of Uno, I actually think with the new Skunk version, there's an improvement there, and I'm thrilled to see that it's very readily available for folks in the likes of Barnes & Noble and Target. Hey, maybe they'll see Knizia on the box and then end up finding this video. Who knows? There's a lot to discover. Raw and Write is more very recent evidence that Knizia can whip up some really enjoyable verb and write games, using the Raw namesake at that, and making a nice fresh little experience that feels wholly unique from Raw the Dice game. A solid little title to check out. Silos is a tremendous looking and really dynamic to play area control game that has some brilliant abilities and great tension in the tempo of the game. Silos is so weird for me because it's one that I've never had a bad play of. In fact, every play has been a delight. It's just one I would not pick up instead of other Knizia area control games, much less other area control games in the grand scheme of things. But also, it's one I would never say no to if someone else wanted to, because it's still sure to be a good time. Cosmolancer, the reskinned version of a classic, it's math the game. I don't know what else to say. I enjoy it. It's thinky, clever, and can be a little mean. But hey, it's fast and fun. And now you can do math while pretending to take pictures of space whales while blasting Gojira in the background. So that's kind of a win-win-win in my book. Whale Riders is a game where you're managing your actions, buying, selling, moving along the board to fulfill contracts of sorts, making sure you're the most prosperous in the end. It's got an interesting tempo and good decision space where you're always interested in what other players are doing. Don't Llama Dice, for me, is the better version of Llama. Push your luck and card management, it's silly and fun, and if you haven't tried this, I think you should, regardless of whether you like Llama or not. Man, Don't Get Angry Solo is a really fun solo puzzle game, a very highly replayable, clever set of twists on the classic game which shares similarities to many famous games like Sorry, Trouble, Parcheesi, etc. Knizia's For One series is full of great challenges that are easy to sit down and experience. I sure hope to see these become readily available for folks, as they are a great way to sit down, spend some contemplative quiet time with a cup of coffee. Capybara Cookie Club is the better version of Llama that isn't Llama. It's again Knizia iterating on Uno, but with player powers and a lot of really interesting dynamism happening between players. Money is an auction game where you're using money to bid on money to set, collect money, and ultimately have the most and the most diverse money. It is straightforward and clean, but a mechanism ultimately done better elsewhere. Marshmallow Test is a really solid trick taker, but with an interesting choice of doing well, but don't do it too fast. There are certain elements that hold this one back from being higher for me, but mostly because of its successor, which perfected the system, which we'll get to. Pumafiosi is a really funky little trick taker where you don't just have the challenge of playing the second highest card in a trick, but you have to push your luck and try and place it in the hierarchy in a beneficial way while risking it getting knocked down. And while putting this together, I realized that it's been quite a while since I've played Pumafiosi. And so I wanted to go and check. And shockingly enough, of every game on this list, in this video, it's been the longest time since I've played Pumafiosi. I played every other game on this list since the last time I played Pumafiosi, which I think is a crime. And I think once revisiting it, especially now that I'm in more of the niche trick-taking space, it will climb for me in the future. So we'll keep an eye on that. Ingenious really lives up to its namesake. It's ultimately simple in what you're doing, playing out tiles and matching colors, scoring points, but brilliant in its execution. It can be a treat for folks who casually play games, almost like checkers, but be a brain-burning, competitive, puzzly challenge for those who love that sort of thing. Ultimately, it feels like some of the most distilled pure Knizia out there. Millefiori feels like a mini-game palooza where you're playing in various sections of the board, controlling areas, and forming patterns or sequences to score points. It's pretty unique in Knizia's catalog, but a really good time regardless, and looks lovely doing it. Amun-Re is one that I think is spectacular in and of itself, but it hasn't called to come back to the table to me quite often. It does auctions in a really unique way in its 2-act epic, and there's nothing holding it back for me but the time I've had to play it. Ingenious, Millefiori, and Amun-Re in a row here really make a strong point for me in the fact that even down in the 50s and 60s on this list, we have games that are absolute gems. I say all the time that these games are fantastic. I recommend them to people. I will pull them out to play with people. And that's why it was so hard to do this, because when you enjoy games this much that are this far down, you can only imagine how strongly I feel about the ones we're about to get to. Marabunta stands out on this list not for just being a really good two-player Knizia game or a novelty roll and write, but for also being an I Split You Choose game, one of my favorite underrated mechanisms, and an area control game, but still in a tremendously unassuming package. I think this one flew under a lot of folks' radar, and they definitely should check it out if they like any of the above-named mechanisms. Tower of Babel is an interesting one. It looks like it's 20 years older than it is, but don't let that detract from the fascinating area influence game, where everyone has some investment on every player's turn. You're bidding for involvement in building part of a historical wonder, and you can get points in a variety of ways. It's a clever system I'd love to see freshened up. Zombiegeddon, or Jäger und Sammler, is a hidden gem in the Knizia catalog. Ultimately, you're moving around and collecting things. I think that this game would benefit in general, but also on my list, from a more readily available version that doesn't look absolutely horrific. The production of the version I have is what holds it back from getting higher on this list. I mean, look at the board, but the game itself is really neat, and I super hope it gets revisited soon, or hopefully at some point I can get a copy of the better version that I've never been able to physically play. Modern Art is Knizia's classic game that is ultimately a collection of different kinds of auctions, all rolled into one fun package. All in all, a great experience, and for me a go-to to share with a lot of folks, but ultimately falling short of some other auction games higher. Winner's Circle is a spectacular Knizia betting game where you're all betting on the horse's performance, and through dice rolls, you get to manipulate a horse on the track. In this day and age of games like Hot Streak, it may not be the best ever in the genre, but it certainly delivers and is one I'll always be happy to bring out to the table. Ra the Dice Game is a great dice reimplementation of Ra. It gives the sensation of those iconic scoring mechanisms, but with engaging dice play and a shared board experience. I am so happy that this one will be available for folks once again soon. Genesis is a bit rough, better looking than Zombiegeddon, but still. It lives in the same category for me as that game in that its production weighs down an otherwise intriguing game experience. It is very Knizia, numbers and colors and tile laying, that's that. But I personally really like what's happening in it, and I'm looking forward to the future that this game may have. Kniffle 7 is basically Knizia showing his mastery of the Yahtzee-like system. This one is quick to play, offers great push-your-luck excitement, and full of fun, tense decisions. And here's where the real external conflicts begin.